Hello there, human. I was wondering when you would arrive. It's becoming a bit of a rarity that you're not here, though I find that I still quite anticipate your arrival. As I've said before, I'm quite fond of your company, and of course, the other things too. I'm glad that you decided to come in tonight. It has had the makings of a slower day, which, of course, means that I'll have more time to waste with you. Yes, I suppose there are other things that I could do with my time, but they are often so much more boring than enjoying your company, dear human. But let me not forget my job entirely. And since you're here, can I get anything for you? Perhaps something more exotic than you're used to? Still no, Well, I suppose I can still always try to convince you one of these days. Though I'm sure it will be the usual once again. Very well. It is quite a fun phrase to ask, isn't it? Will it be the usual? I remember when I was younger, though I was still quite a bit older than you are now. It was before I had this bar. I always thought that it would be delightful to have a place where I could ask for the usual. A place that felt like it was wholly mine. I suppose that sort of happened, in a way, though not the one I originally thought. However, owning this bar is definitely one of my favorite things I've done. I suppose I could stay here forever, assuming those new policies don't shut us down sooner rather than later. Yes, I suppose that new policies wouldn't necessarily mean I would have to close. I'm not exactly above continuing to operate, though switching to be on the down low. We could close the doors and put up a shutdown sign out front. Most humans don't bother coming into these parts of town, so, well, I'm sure I don't need to explain the reasons that they wouldn't want to. Not to you, anyway. Though, I suppose if things do take a turn for the worse, there's always measures that we could take. We will continue to live our lives regardless of what the outside world thinks about it. Just as we always have. And of course, you would always be welcome, human or not. I'm aware that there's still one or two of my patrons out there that don't quite trust a human in a place like this, but you've become quite the familiar face around here. Not to mention that it is my bar, and most know better than to try and cross me. So, you should be safe here, if that is what you wish. Though, I am afraid, perhaps, of what your own kind's reaction would be to the fact that you spend your nights here, or that you spend some nights upstairs. Perhaps you shouldn't allow any other humans to find out about our little arrangement. I don't mean to scare you, but things are getting a little bit messy out there, as I'm sure you've heard. I simply want you to be safe. So please, be careful, dear friend, for I find that I have grown to care about you, and I would hate for you to get into any trouble with your own kind, or otherwise, particularly on our behalf. Though, it seems that your kind may be a bigger threat these days. It's a funny thing, I suppose, that in their fear of us, humans often become more violent than even what they pretend to say we are. Though, I suppose it's unfair to complain about it to someone like you, who has to spend much more time with humans than I do. And, of course, the ones that I do spend time with are quite lovely. There's that blush again. Which actually reminds me, I know we've spent quite a few, I suppose we could call it, sessions together as of late. Though they've usually been more or less spontaneous, perhaps is the right word. Usually we only plan a day or two ahead, which is fine with me, of course, if you would like to continue doing so, but I was thinking perhaps we could also write up a kind of schedule of sorts, assuming you're still interested in this being a long-term arrangement. That is something that I have done in the past, a handful of times. A kind of contract, I suppose, between me and a human, and then I could make your payments a little less sporadic, if that's easier for you. I'm not sure what your normal income is, however, well, I don't mean to imply that it would be less than what I'm giving you, but I do think that I have quite a bit more funds to give away than most human employers. So, of course, you may stick to your original occupation, whatever it is, if you so wish. But I could work out a way to give you more regular payments, if it is easier for you that way. And all this could be written down, of course. That's what I've done in the past, partially for trust reasons, though, and these days I'm not sure how viable a contract between a human and someone like me would be, considering how your systems have been working as of late. Though, I suppose I would be the only one at a disadvantage in that case. So perhaps it would not be an issue after all. But, even so, I find that I can trust you quite a bit more than I've trusted any of my past associates. I know I've talked of them a handful of times, but really, we were nothing more than business partners. It was nothing like, well, nothing like whatever our relationship is now. You treat me as quite a bit more than a source of money, which I appreciate greatly, perhaps more than you will know. But I suppose it does not matter much if you are interested in engaging in a long-term deal with me. I am definitely interested in you, regardless of your answer. Well, I'm sure you've heard that before. But I suppose you're growing more accustomed to the effects that my venom can have on the human body. Perhaps I have not told you enough while you were in a more coherent state, but your blood is quite delicious. You're doing quite a favor by allowing me to continue to partake, so thank you for that. The money is the least I can do to compensate you. I know you think it has nothing to do with yourself, whether your blood is irresistible or not, but, well, I suppose I could say that your blood isn't the only part of you that's appealing to me. Another blush. Well, I could apologize for that, I suppose, but I'm afraid I've gotten into a bit of a habit of it. I suppose you could say I enjoy flustering you. You're simply so adorable when I do. It's hard to resist. Though, I will do my best not to impede you so much that you can't engage in conversation. That is one of the main reasons I enjoy being with you so. I enjoy my customers and other associates, of course, but, well, it's not often that a human comes in here. I appreciate the different perspective. It reminds me of, well, I'm sure you know how it is that vampires are formed. Many of the visitors to this bar were born into this life. I, however, was not. Often, the memories of my human days are a bit foggy, I suppose you could say. But you help me feel as though I am in them again, give or take a few engagements. I appreciate you for that, for reminding me that I was human once too. It's something that the others of my kind can't do, and not something that I'll readily forget. In the meantime, if you're interested, I can draft a contract for the next time you come in, and we can negotiate a bit, if you like, though I predict that we will come to quite a comfortable outcome for the both of us, if you are so willing. Does that sound good to you? It does. Delightful. I can't wait to work with you further.